Video games. There's highs and low moments, but one of the lowest has to be a video game death. It can come and happen at any time, and it always hurts the worst, especially when it's a character you love. With just that in mind, this is Ace Scorcher, and here we are with the top 10 saddest character deaths in video games. As always, there's going to be the usual one death per game, per franchise rule, and added rule, these aren't always in, this isn't going to be in our specific order. So, if you see something that you figure, no, should have been placed higher or lower, then sadly, I can't help you there. This is our show, and we place things how we like. As always, if you like the video afterwards, or if you thought of some other character deaths that I missed, be sure to leave it in the comments below. Or, who knows? If you like the video and just want to share it, go ahead. Or subscribe if you like. Without further ado, let's get started with this sad video with number 10.
Yeah, that. And the whole angle
The
about
death
him
of
putting people on
Nanako-chan,
TV.
Persona 4.
There's no way that'll
Golden.
stand up in court.
And
no one would
man,
believe that.
This I still haven't gotten over this. Later in the game, you and your crew of miscreants finally catch up to the guy putting people in TVs and killing them, Natame. You kick his butt in a spectacular fashion, but being that she's pretty young, being in the world of shadows and stuff is really taking its toll on Nanako-chan, so she's immediately rushed to the hospital. But seeing as doctors haven't really come into a phenomenon like this, there's really not much they can do to help her except let her rest. Which is understandable, and seeing as we don't have any solution for it, we're at much of a loss as well. And seeing as everyone cares for Nanako-chan so much, including the main character and the players at this point, we're heartbroken to see little Nanako-chan meet her terrible fate. And there's not really much we can do about it except just see her off in such a sad, sad manner. God damn it. Let's just move on to the next entry, please. Our next entry is the Great Wolf Sith from Dark Souls. Another pet death. These things never get easy, do they? Throughout the course of your journey through Dark Souls, you'll have to encounter the Great Wolf Sith in order to get the Abyss Ring to fight the Four Kings later on. And as such, you'll end up meeting the Great Wolf Sith, who is guarding his master's grave, who had sacrificed himself long ago to save Sith from the Abyss.
Well, waste all the
Throughout this fight, you're going to be up against a
goddamn
very fast and powerful wolf who carries the great sword her master once used. Sorry, forgot that this is a girl dog wolf. Anywho, throughout the course of the fight, it really gets really sad towards the end when she starts to get weaker and weaker and starts to limp around the battlefield, which really makes you feel bad. And that's to make matters even worse, if you go into the DLC before you coming here and facing Sif, she ends up recognizing you and sadly still has to realize the fact that you have to fight each other. Such a sad, sad meeting. Our next entry is Arthur Morgan from Red Dead 2. I feel like there's sadly no real good ending for this cowboy. Towards the epilogue of the game, our lovely friend has suffered from a sadly deadly disease, which he's tried to fight as hard as he can before his untimely end. Whether it is his fight to save his other members of their crew from getting killed from Dutch's bad leadership, or using the last of his strength to make sure that his friend John and his wife made it. Arthur's death is sad, but he at least embraces the end, knowing that in the last moments of his life, he was at least able to do something good. Who knew that under all that darkness and death and cowboyry, there was still a good heart in the end. We'll see you later, cowboy. Our next death on the list is Marcus from Saint Row 2. Now, Marcus was one of the first people you meet in the game, seeing as you were still in jail, who helps you escape and try and reform your crew, the Third Street Saints, who have been disbanded sort of after incarceration in the first game. He's sort of a rookie, but he's good for his detail and helps you track down information on the Brotherhood. Sadly, the Brotherhood sort of kidnap him and aren't happy about what you did to their boss earlier in the game. So now you have to track down your missing comrade through either taking down Brotherhood members or beating up guys for information. Once you find out what's happened to Carlos, things take a sadder turn. Carlos has been chained up to one of their vehicles and being dragged through the streets to no end. But by the time we reach him, he's really fucked up. And despite our best efforts, we can't even sever the chains that have got him hooked up to the car. Seeing as he feels like it's already his end, and there's nothing we can do, he accepts his fate, and the leader has to just put it out. As deaths go, this one's really a heartbreaker. It hurts when you really it hurts so much because despite all your best efforts, you have to put down one of your closest comrades. That's the worst thing you ever have to do. Deimos from Jak 3. Throughout the course of this game, while you're in the outskirts in the desert, you run into Deimos, a leader of a faction who's been removed from Haven City for reasons you'll find out later. But underneath all his seriousness, he's a good leader and a good role model for Jak. So by the time he meets his sadly end, when you guys are fighting the Dark Makers at the end of the game, he reveals the truth that he had a son that he lost in Haven City a long time ago, that he hopes that you will find, named Mar, which reveals something even greater, that Jak is his son from a long time ago. The problem is that Viger stole him away to use for eco experiments before he lost Jak to the underground again. And you know, the events of the first game, and second, where he's sent back to the past. So, before he could even realize it, his dad dies in his arms, without even being able to tell him that he's his son. Our next death on this list is Reggie Rowe from infamous Second Son. Throughout this amazing game of powers and conduits of the like, Delson Rowe is known for getting himself in trouble and being pretty cocky, but he's always had his brother on his side to always be there to lend a hand, or at least help keep his conscience going in the right path. So his death sort of
brother finds out what
is a gut punch to you.
Oh, he's gonna what?
Especially when he did so much to survive, and props to him blowing Augustine to bits with that rocket launcher.
You could have hit me!
Yeah, that's payback
Despite
for
their
blasting me with the angels.
fight
Come on, get
earlier
up.
and
Come
being
over here, I'll get those
trapped by
cuffs off you.
Auxine's concrete powers,
This
Reggie
way, I'll cover you.
is slowly becoming encased in concrete as they're hanging on a cliff. Seeing as he
Reg, he's still
knows that
alive.
Delson can't pull him up, nor can he free himself, Reggie decides to accept his fate and just falls into the drink in order to make sure his brother doesn't suffer the same fate. And we're just left with Delson suffering in anguish as his brother disappears right before his eyes. Of all the things that he'd suffered from this, whether it's a comish family and friends being afflicted with Oxine's powers, or just more comrades getting hurt, losing his brother is the thing that really hurt him the most.
I'm so proud of you. Always have
Siblings
been.
are forever, man.
Lindsay, don't. I love you, bro.
The next death on our list is Lady Lula Freya from Final Fantasy 15. Boy, when you have seen your fiance goes, not much you can do. During our fight with Leviathan, Lady Lula Freya is stabbed pretty badly by Arden before he makes his escape, like the snake that he is. But somehow she still carries on, which, I gotta say, props to you, good job. So, in the midst of still being stabbed and bleeding out, she uses the last of her strength to help give Noctis the power he needs to defeat Leviathan, which is awesome, because you get to enjoy a nice battle against a sea serpent who's 90,000 times your size, so, you know, good stuff. But the sad part about it is, you get to see one last scene between Lady Luna Freya and Noctis before she disappears for good. And despite his best efforts to swim towards her, he's just being pulled away back into the light. So you see her slowly sink into the descent, and Noctis being unable to do anything. And by the time he wakes up from this event, he realizes that the girl he'd known for so long and cared for is gone. And the only thing he really has left to remember her by are the flower and the ring that she sacrificed so much to make sure that he held on to.
Farewell.
Boy, Final Fantasy sure does not play when it comes to emotional scenes like this. I thought I had a hard enough time accepting the fact that Aerith died. Then this? Ugh. So Final Fantasy 16 doesn't have something as heartbreaking as this whenever that is released. The next death we have is Lee Everett from The Walking Dead. Now, this one my friends told me about, and I gotta say, it still hurts. During the later bits of the game, Lee is bit by a walker, and if I'm sure you know how Walking Dead works, eventually he's going to end up succumbing to his fate and turning into one. So, our sad little heroine is left with only one of two choices. Either to shoot Lee and kill him, or to leave him be and let him turn into a walker. Now this is hard to stomach, as not just as a player, just in real life in general. Like,
It's so horrible.
these two have been together for so much during the game, have learned so much from each other and care for one another. There's also the fact that Clementine is still a kid. The idea of having to shoot Lee will haunt her for so long. No kid should ever have to shoot someone they love to stop them from turning into a zombie or leave them to turn. So, at the end of the day, no matter what option you choose here, the fate still remains the same, that Lee Everett is gone. And Clementine is left shaken and in a broken state of having to remember that the person she cared about the most has been
What is it?
cut down, and it's all thanks to you.
Don't worry. Alright.
At least the only solace we can have in the fact is that they're in a better place now than they would be if they had turned. Well played, Telltale's games. Well played. Now, we're hitting one of the heavy hitters in Life is Strange. One with our lovely Chloe. Throughout this game, we have Max, our protagonist, who has the ability to time travel.
Not like my
uses it
mom.
for good and
Look what she had to give up
solving
and live through.
mysteries and saving her best
And
friend
she
from
did.
dying several times.
She deserves
At
so
the
much
end of the
more
game,
than to be killed by a
it's
storm in a
realized the
fucking
fact that there's a
diner.
storm coming that'll destroy
Even my
Arcadia Bay, their
my
hometown, which
stepfather
was caused by
deserves
you
her
using
alive.
their time travel abilities in the
There's
first
so many
place.
more people
So,
in Arcadia Bay
realizing
who
that,
should live.
Chloe makes
Way more than me.
the
Say that.
hard decision
I
that she
won't
has to go
trade you.
back
You're
in
not-
time to when Max used her powers the first time, which sadly means that Chloe's time is up, because the first time she used her powers is to save her from getting shot in the bathroom. So, we're left with the harsh reality of having to stand by and watch our friend die 2 feet
I'm
away,
so sick of people
not being
trying
able to do
control
anything
me.
about it.
You are going
I mean,
to get
sure,
in
you
hella
could
more
save
trouble
her,
for this than
but that would
drugs.
also result in the
Nobody
deaths of
would
everyone
ever
else in
even miss
Arcadia
your
Bay.
punk ass, would they?
Get that gun away from me, psycho!
While that's a harsh decision to make, I literally had tears welling up in my eyes when I had to realize the fact that the only real best friend we had left in the world had to die in order for us to save everyone else. Man, that's really not gonna... That's really gonna be hard to think about in your college entrance exams, isn't it there, Max? Max? Last but certainly not least, we have Aunt May from Marvel's Spider-Man. This one, when I streamed this, I was crushed. By the time you reach the end of the game and beat Doc Ock, which is already heartbreaking enough, you have the serum to cure everyone who's been infected by that toxin in the game. The problem is, Aunt May is sadly too far gone at this point, and she would require the use of the full neurotoxin to save herself, but doing so would doom everyone else. So Spider-Man is left with no choice but to let his last living relative, Aunt May, die. But at least in her final moments, she reveals that she knew the truth about Peter being Spider-Man, and that she's proud of him. That she's proud of the person he's become, and tells him he knows what he has to do to put the needs of others before the needs of himself. You know, it's sort of the same feelings that Uncle Ben bequeathed to him before his untimely passing. It was already sad enough to have Peter deal with Uncle Ben's death, but seeing Peter break down in defeat watching Aunt May die, knowing he can't do anything to save her, is hard. But this is sadly the fact that most heroes have to deal with. Sometimes you can't save them all. And with that, that's the end of our list. Hopefully you haven't teared up or just broken down completely from watching that. As always, thanks for watching the video, and hope you like it. If you had any other sad video game deaths that you thought I missed or should have added, be sure to leave them in the comments below and I'll check them out. Who knows? When it's time to do a part 2 to this list, I may add some of those choices. And be sure, if you want to see more of our live content, you can check out our videos at the channel or check us out on Twitch at twitch.tv/hscorcher for more. It's been a blast, guys, and I'll see you later. I need to get more tissues because I'm just... I can't do this anymore. Just cut. Just go to the outro.
The light